Hi everyone, I'm Jackie Schollerman and here is Chase Poole, my partner in crime, right?
Oh, crime is the key word.
That's
Hello.
true. How are you? So Chase, what are we going to be talking today?
We are talking about on the purchasing side. It's obviously a very competitive market out there with limited inventory, low interest rates, the ability to work from home or the ability to work further away from the traditional work or office. A lot of people are looking to buy, right?
Yep.
So when you find that house, what are we finding? We're seeing that I love this house. I'm going to make an offer. I'm going to bid a little bit over so that I stand out. But what's happening is you're seeing 5, 6, 7 offers all competing against you for that home. So outside of just the price, everybody's limited in terms of how much they can offer and afford. So really what we're looking at today here are maybe 10 to 12 different things that we can do in terms of submitting an offer or crafting an offer.
How to position the buyer's offer.
Exactly. How are we going to position that buyer to win in today's market when there's multiple offers?
Right.
And if everybody has the same amount of cash, how are we going to stand out? How is our offer going to stand out against those other ones?
Exactly.
So we've got 10 to 12 different items that we can cover.
The first one is going to be really because of the fact that this is going to be multiple offer and everyone is really throwing these crazy numbers to get the seller's attention is the price, obviously purchase price. And then at the end of the day, if they're going to be having a cash, of course we don't worry about appraisal.
Right.
But when there's an appraiser or loan is involved, then we have to worry about whether or not if that appraiser is going to be able to appraise the house for the purchase price that you're offering. So there has to be some sort of a guarantee for that appraisal gap to tell the seller that Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you know, we love your home, we're giving you this price, and we're basically putting all of our chips on the table to get your home, your lovely home. But you also be over and beyond your down payment, you have to have extra cash available in your bank account. Not necessarily cash, but something that is fairly liquid that you can, by the close of escrow, you can liquidate your funds and then come up with the extra in the event if the appraisal doesn't come close to what your purchase price is.
Right.
So basically we call that appraisal gap funds, that you need to have some extra cushion left in case of emergency. You bring it in and then you close a gap between what the lender is going to be loaning you and what the appraiser says that it's going to be and what your purchase price
was, what that offer price was. Okay.
So you just need to make sure that you give that guarantee to the seller and the seller knows with the intention that you're going to close the escrow and this is a done deal.
It really alleviates them, because if I'm the buyer or I'm the seller and I see someone's coming in with a high offer, but it's like really over the asking price, I could be concerned saying, well, that could be overpaid and the lender that they're using is never going to approve that. But if I see that you've written in there that says, regardless of the appraisal, I will make up that difference, I will guarantee it, then that offer becomes a very serious offer.
Correct.
Right?
Because you basically, the seller wants to make sure that once they accept the offer, it's going to be a done deal and they're going to close escrow, they're going to get their money and move on to the next home.
Certainly.
So you just have to guarantee to the seller that you are a strong buyer, you have plenty of funds to close the deal.
So the next one I would say is an opportunity is to offer to pay for the seller's closing costs.
Yeah.
Now, in our market, depending on what county, what city you live in, those, the typical who pays for what can change.
Yeah, that's true.
But in any event, you can always offer to pick up any additional costs that you think the seller would be impressed by, essentially. So if there are transfer taxes, or if there are escrow fees, if there are title fee, anything that can come up, and if you really want to stand out, you can simply, as a buyer, offer to pay for those things.
Right.
Again, it's just eliminating extra work, busy work for that seller,
Right.
so that the idea is if they go with us, my offer, this is the easiest, most smooth transaction. You don't have to worry about X, Y, Z. So if you can add in some of these caveats that say, let's remove another roadblock or another piece of stress from that seller, there's a good chance
Right.
that can go a long way.
Exactly. And I have even seen some offer that they're even offering sellers moving costs in addition to
Yeah.
the closing costs or the title fees.
Yeah, that's post-sale of the
Exactly. So, the whole idea is to differentiate your offer from all the other offers that they're sitting on a table, so that the seller would say, this is a good one.
Right.
I
At
want
the
to
end
take
of the day,
this
if
one.
you can pick up any of their additional costs,
Yeah.
that's just more net to them. And so
Yeah.
what they see is a more net in their pocket
Right.
is the best offer, or potentially is.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
The other one is, closing date window, and to be able to be flexible on the closing date and giving the sellers either a rent back, preferably a free rent back, and depends on how long they want the rent back. I've seen myself, or I have used for my buyers, anywhere from, let's say, 2 months to even up to a year
Oh, wow.
of rent back. Of course, you don't give free rent back for the whole year, but
But it's all
maybe
negotiable.
it's all negotiable. Yeah, maybe the first 2 months is free and the rest is a discounted rate or market rate. But the whole idea is to give the flexibility for the seller after they close the escrow to move out.
Absolutely. So having that closing date window, it really says, we'll close whenever, it's up to you, we're going to accommodate you.
Right.
Because I've actually submitted an offer, and we submitted a 5-day closing.
Yeah.
And the seller asked if we could actually extend that because they couldn't close in 5. So when we were saying, we're going to make the strong cash offer, no contingencies, 5-day closing, so it's quick.
Right.
It's actually the seller that comes back and says, hey, that's too fast for us. We need signature. We need to gather some information. So providing that window really puts it on them to pick and choose, and allows them to feel like they're in the driver's seat.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So after that, number 4, I would say, is on top of the closing window is the post-close move-out date. So we kind of talked about a rent back, but providing that flexibility for the seller to exit the home without being just being accommodating in any way you can. A reasonable accommodation.
Right.
We're not saying close on the home and then let them stay for another 30, 60, 90 days without anything. So the point is, if you can accommodate the seller, and chances are that seller is going to go look for another home, right? They're going to purchase another home. So maybe relieving some of the stress of them having to get out so quickly can really, really move your offer to the top of the list.
Exactly. And there are so many different ways, as I mentioned, over and beyond the rent back, moving costs. Perhaps you can even offer to pay for the house cleaning during the time, or even cater food for the seller during the time that they're moving and packing. Anything that you can offer to really entice the seller to accept your offer over and beyond just the purchase price or just the terms. At this point, beyond the purchase price, there are other terms that is going to position the buyer to win. And you just have to come up with all kinds of creative ideas to differentiate your buyer from all the other 5 or 6 buyers that are submitting an offer.
And it can be as simple as the ability of paying cash versus a loan. So a lot of people, will go get financing and put an offer in with a loan. They could pay cash, but maybe they don't want to. They'd rather get a loan. But at the end of the day, when you have identical offers and one is cash and one is a loan, it's typically you might see a seller choose an all cash offer because it's guaranteed funds, whereas a loan, there's an appraiser, there's a lender involved, there's other aspects to it that are kind of out of our control as a buyer or as a seller. It's up to a third party to approve. So if you have the ability to make a cash offer, as we say, cash is king, right?
That's true.
So if you do have that ability, that is something that you definitely want to.
Right. You need to offer the path of least resistance
There you go.
to the seller. The other thing is, use as is, clause of the offer. Make sure that you're basically saying, I'm taking your house, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm taking your house as is, just the way it is. You don't have to worry about any inspections. You don't have to worry about any termite work, any painting or repair during the escrow or even after. And so basically put an as-is condition or clause in your offer.
That I would say that is probably one next to the amount of the offer, but this is what we consider contingent offer or non. The as-is purchase and as-is offer is definitely, like you said, it's removing every thought process or headache that the seller's potentially thinking of preparing the home or spending more money to provide the inspections and all this. So absolutely, that would be, if I have an as-is offer on the table, that's saying I don't have to do anything.
Right.
So that would be very enticing.
Yeah.
Right.
Next one is seller's own home search. They're going to be going out there and looking for a home, so they need to make sure that your offer is a guaranteed close and is the best offer, so that it gives them a comfort zone and the guarantee that they're going to go out there and start looking for a home, and they don't have to worry about whether or not if this offer is going to fall through or not.
Absolutely. And then also part of that is that time frame. So it feels like they feel the most comfort in that this contract is going to this purchase is going to take place, and then that really ease their minds for them going out and finding their next home.
Right.
So obviously, if you can't make a cash offer,
right,
you have an existing home that you're trying to sell, and you want to purchase another one. Really having that financing and maybe a bridge loan is going to, it's almost like cash. It's basically giving you a lender saying, here's a pre-approval for X amount, and so you can go purchase that new home. Whereas some people might say, well, what if they aren't unable to sell their home?
Right.
How's that going to affect me in the purchase of this home? So having a good lender and a bridge loan if needed to cover the gap is definitely going to reassure those sellers that, okay, this is a strong buyer, or they're already back, they have pre-approval, they have financing, and really takes out that guesswork.
Right.
So
because that bridge loan is basically equity of your home plus a market, and also what the lender is going to offer you, and it puts you almost like equivalent to a cash offer, almost. So it's a pretty important for the buyers who do have a house to consider getting a bridge loan and put them in a really strong position to go and put an offer on the next home. So the other one is making sure that you have approved financing. You have a pre-approval rather than pre-qualification, because there's a big difference between the two.
Yeah. So for those who might be purchasing their first home, right? They can't get a bridge loan, right? They don't have an existing equity, or they don't have an existing home that they own. So going in, I would actually say, regardless of making an offer, is really going into that home search and ready to buy, having approved financing, having that pre-approval. Pre-qualification is what exactly is, you fit the mold of somebody we would lend to.
Right, yeah.
A pre-approval is you've gone through the application process, you've gone through the income verification.
Right.
They know exactly the financials and say you are approved for X amount.
Correct.
Right? So having the pre-approval is much stronger, and it's actually recommended in today's market.
Correct.
In fact, most people are requiring, or most sellers are requiring, that pre-approval letter with the offer that comes along, right?
Plus the proof of funds of your down payment,
Absolutely.
too. And also who that pre-approval letter is from is also extremely important. That who is that lender behind that pre-approval letter? And, is it a local lender that all the realtors respect, know, and they have worked with, and they have a good track record.
And they have an appraisal department that understands the market and says, hey,
and
this is
and
what
the
we
underwriter is local,
Right.
and they understand the nuances of what the appraisals and the value of the homes
and
are
where
in.
the specific market is headed and so forth. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Well, the next one is patience. Be patient as a buyer. You just have to, be patient, and if there are anything that the seller needs,
Absolutely. Well, you have to put yourself in the seller's shoes, right?
Yeah.
Think about, you just put your home on the market, you did all this work to get it on the market, you've got a lot of buzz, and great, you've got, let's just say, 5 offers on the table, and one of those offers is my offer, right?
Yeah.
You've got to put yourself in their shoes, saying, okay, now they've got to, look at apples, compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges,
Yeah.
right? They've got to decipher what does each, offer entail, what are the nuances, and then allow them to make their decision.
Right.
And though we might say, well, we feel we were the highest price or we had the best of this, it's important to know that every seller is different, and what's important to that seller, what's most important to that seller, is widely different, and it's not the same in every transaction. So, being patient,
Right.
Giving them some time to review those offers, and then to respond to those offers,
Right.
and then.
And it also depends on who the seller is or how many sellers are there. It might be, sometimes we've seen 2 people, 1 person, or there might be 5 people.
I've had 6 signers on.
Yeah, 5 or 6 signers that they're all different parts of the U.S. and they need to have time to review, discuss. So being a patient buyer is going to be a key in getting your offer accepted.
Absolutely.
Be patient, but then also at the same time be able to move fast based on what their feedback is, what the seller's feedback or seller's revised requirements are.
Because on the flip side, if we are impatient and we are in a multiple offer situation, and there are let's say there are 2 similar offers, one very close to ours, maybe identical. But if we can practice patience versus a person who is very impatient, we would not want to lose a house simply because of our emotion, how they perceived us, right? So definitely be patient. Use, which ties into the next one, number 11 here, is communication.
That's true.
Patience and communication are going to go hand in hand, and really that communication between the agents and then as well as the client, so the seller with their agent, the 2 agents for the buying side and the listing side, as well as the buyer's agent. The more communication you have and the more patience you have, the smoother transaction.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. And going the extra mile, the number 12, going the extra mile, and that is, work with having a good relationship with other realtors in the community, because realtors, people like to work with people they know and they trust. That is just basically the
Business
simple
101.
Business 101, especially when it comes to real estate. It's not just about people you know and trust between the realtor and your buyer, or realtor and your seller, but it's between the realtor and the realtor. What kind of a relationship you have, what kind of a rapport you have, how much you trust each other and respect each other, and who you work with, it really matters in getting your offer accepted.
So going the extra mile might not necessarily be geared towards the actual buyer themselves. There's not much that they can do in that situation, but really going the extra mile is really on the buyer's agent. And like you said, if having the relationships, going the extra mile, it might be previous transactions that or a referral you sent somebody, and you've built relationships, but going that extra mile, it's a relationship-based industry.
Exactly.
And so going that extra mile can really go a long way, and people remember that.
That's true. That's
people
true.
do not. What is it? The elephant has a memory of a goldfish. I can't remember. Anyhow, well, these are just been 12 different. We'll recap 12 different strategies to really make your offer kind of stand out. And again, that's appraisal gap guarantee.
That's true.
Closing costs, offering to cover the seller's closing costs if they have any. Being flexible on a closing date window. Allowing that seller to maybe stay in the home after, so post-close move-out date. So allowing them a rent back of some sort. Putting in there an as-is clause that you're going to purchase the home as is in the current condition with no contingencies or further requirements. And then helping with the seller's own home search, right? Being accommodating there.
Right.
Cash offers are king.
Bridge loans.
Bridge loans, approval on your financing, having that patience, communication.
And your rapport and go the extra mile.
Going the extra mile.
Yeah.
So again, these are all, we don't expect everybody to remember these. We remember because we do this all day, every day.
Yeah.
But if you guys are thinking of buying or selling in today's market, then definitely you want to reach out to us here at the Schollerman Group and set up a 15-minute strategy session, right?
Exactly.
Because
so
every seller is different.
it's different.
Everybody has different
Every
requirements.
house is different.
Every house is different. Really what we need to do is understand what is most important to you and then working on a game plan from there so that you're successful in today's market, whether that's buying, whether that's selling.
Yeah.
So we look forward to seeing you guys, two weeks from now?
Yeah.
With another topic. So again, reach out to us if you have any questions. We look forward to
And if you
seeing
know
you guys
of a
again.
topic that you would like for us to cover, just contact
Put it in the
Chase or
comments.
myself and let us know what topics you would like for us to cover, and we'll be happy to cover it next time.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.